big, beautiful Christmas present. How much would middle-class Americans save? How much would wealthier Americans save? And who pays for it all? Also tonight, the man who allegedly opened fire inside a Walmart. The image walking in seconds before the shooting. 3 dead, the dramatic chase in the middle of rush hour traffic. The deadly truck attack here in New York City. The new image tonight, the Home Depot truck rented days before the attack for a practice run through New York. Under house arrest, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, and the indictment from Robert Mueller. Why did Manafort apply for 10 different passports and have multiple email accounts and cell phones under different names? And the daring escape, the woman kidnapped, jumping from the trunk of a car, racing into the convenience store, only to find the kidnapper inside.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us here on a Thursday night, and we begin with your money and that new tax plan unveiled today by President Trump and House Republicans. And the president's promise that it will be law by Christmas. A beaming president showing the simple postcards that the president says Americans will soon be able to file their taxes on. Tonight, how much will the middle class save? How much will wealthier families save? How it affects your mortgage, your medical write-offs, your 401k. And a reality check here, will this pass Congress? ABC's Mary Bruce leading us off.
A beaming President Trump today welcomed the sweeping new Republican tax bill with a smooch and a holiday promise to the American people.
We are giving them a big, beautiful Christmas present in the form of a tremendous tax cut.
On the Hill, it looked like Christmas morning for many House Republicans.
This is the beginning of the end of this horrible tax code in America.
We're all in, all together on this.
The bill's authors promising relief to the middle class say the average family making $59,000 a year could save roughly $1,200 per year.
That will help you put more money away for college. It will help you save for retirement. It will help you save for a rainy day.
The number of tax brackets drops from 7 to just 4. A family making up to $90,000 would pay 12%, up to $260,000, 25%, up to $1 million, 35%, while the wealthiest Americans would still pay the same rate as they do now, 39.6%. And the bill doubles the standard deduction, making it $24,000 for married couples. But the plan also offers some big potential breaks for the rich, including repealing the estate tax after 6 years.
They're doing tax giveaways to the wealthy and the powerful and telling the middle class, take a hike, you're on your own, baby.
The bill is a big win for big business, permanently slashing corporate taxes from 35% down to just 20%.
How does lowering the corporate tax rate help middle-class Americans?
70% of all gains from corporate rate reductions go to wages.
All these cuts come with a hefty price tag, costing the government roughly $1.5 trillion over the next decade. Top Republicans, including the president, had promised to reduce the deficit.
Our budget deficits are massive.
This country, we lose money all the time. For years and years, we've had deficits.
But now,
what we're doing is we're taking out a $1.5 trillion loan, and what we're doing with that money is we're buying an appreciable asset.
To pay for this, Republicans are proposing to change popular tax breaks. Gone would be that student loan interest deduction and the deduction for medical expenses. The mortgage interest deduction would be slashed in half. It now only applies to the first $500,000 of a home loan. And tonight, some Republicans from high-tax states like New York, New Jersey, and California are sounding the alarm about plans to eliminate state and local income tax deductions and cap deductions for property taxes at $10,000.
The people I'm hearing from the most are Trump supporters, and these are, again, people, middle-income people, hardworking people. They feel that they are being betrayed.
The president sounding optimistic as he heads off to Asia.
I'll be back in 11 days, but I know things will go well.
Mary Bruce with us live from the Hill tonight. And Mary, so far as we read through this bill, no changes to how much you can actually sock away in your 401k. We heard the president right there tell Republicans he'll be back from his trip in 11 days. Give us a reality check, as you always do. Will Republicans be able to get this passed?
David, members are still reading through this 400-plus page bill, but I've already talked with some House Republicans who say they are a no. Now, Republican leaders insist they will get this through by Thanksgiving. That's just 9 working days from now. But, David, even if they can pull that off, this bill still faces an uncertain future over in the Senate. David.
Mary Bruce leading us off tonight from the Hill. Mary, thank you. And next year to the deadly shooting inside a Colorado Walmart. 3 dead. The suspect seen here on surveillance just moments before he allegedly opened fire. The all-night search and the dramatic takedown right in the middle of rush hour today. ABC's Clayton Sandell from Colorado.
The man police say calmly began shooting inside this suburban Denver Walmart.
I heard a shot. Boom. I was like, what the crap is that?
Tonight is in custody, accused of killing 3 shoppers, 66-year-old Carlos Moreno, 52-year-old Pamela Marquez, and 26-year-old Victor Vasquez, father of 2 girls, his fiancée pregnant with his 3rd child. The suspect, 47-year-old Scott Ostrom, was captured on security cameras, but police say they had trouble identifying him in the footage because some armed civilians hold their own weapons.
As we were rolling through the surveillance, we did observe, others with guns.
Police and federal agents launched a massive manhunt, but Ostrom didn't go far. A tip sent officers back to his apartment today at the very same moment his red hatchback drives right past SWAT teams and TV cameras, both catching up minutes later in rush hour traffic. Ostrom has a history of arrests and financial trouble. In 1999, he was busted for possessing an illegal weapon and assaulting a police officer. The most serious charges later dropped. 2 years ago, he filed for bankruptcy, listing nearly $86,000 in debt. Ostrom will have his first court appearance tomorrow. As for an alleged motive, police say detectives want to interview Ostrom and the people that know him to try and find a reason why. David.
Clayton Sandell in Colorado. We turn next to the Russia investigation and the indictment from Robert Mueller. Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort and his business associate Rick Gates asking a judge today to loosen their house arrest. But the moment today, the judge admonished Manafort's lawyer. And why did Manafort apply for 10 different passports? Here's ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
Tonight, Paul Manafort and his former business partner Richard Gates fighting the prosecutors who made them prisoners in their own homes.
Mr. Gates, how do you respond to the charges, sir?
The tense hearing starting with the judge chastising attorneys for this moment outside the courthouse the day of the indictment.
President Donald Trump was correct. There is no evidence that Mr. Manafort or the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government.
Judge Amy Berman Jackson sternly telling attorneys to stop talking on the courthouse steps and warning that this is a criminal trial, it's not a public relations campaign. Prosecutors arguing both men pose a flight risk and should remain under house arrest, laying out their case in bluntly worded court documents. In the last 10 years, Manafort has submitted 10 passport applications. He currently has 3 passports. He had recently obtained a new cell phone and email account under an alias that he used in trips to China, Ecuador, and Mexico. Manafort's attorney accused the prosecutors of overreaching, saying it's not unusual for someone frequently traveling overseas to have multiple passports. Also tonight, former foreign policy advisor George Papadopoulos cooperating with federal authorities after engaging with the Russians during the campaign. And now a 4th man is making news. Sam Clovis, currently a White House advisor, is withdrawing his name from consideration for a position at the Department of Agriculture. ABC News learning that it was Clovis who allegedly encouraged Papadopoulos to continue communicating with the Russians, writing in an email, "Great work."
Pierre Thomas with us live tonight. Pierre, some Democrats are now calling for Attorney General Jeff Sessions to come back and testify again on the issue of Russian meddling in the election because he was at this meeting here. This image of him with George Papadopoulos, who pleaded guilty, is now cooperating in the investigation, and about what Sessions heard during that meeting with then candidate Donald Trump, who was also there.
That's right, David. A source familiar with the situation says Sessions shut down any conversations about a meeting with Putin. The source says Sessions has been entirely truthful, that he was never part of any discussions about colluding with the Russians to interfere with the campaign. David?
Pierre Thomas. Pierre, thank you. Next tonight, new reporting on the deadly truck attack here in New York City. And this new image tonight, take a look. A photo taken by a neighbor in New Jersey of his own car. But right there in the background, 9 days before the attack, a Home Depot pickup truck. Tonight, authorities believe the suspect might have rented that truck for a trial run through New York days ago. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross.
A new video tonight shows some of the victims of the attack just before terror struck. A group of friends from Argentina, all smiles, biking down New York's west side. It was around the same time across the river in New Jersey that prosecutors say Sayfullah Saipov was at a Home Depot store, seen in this new photo. Preparing to rent the truck, police say he has now confessed to using to kill 8 people, including 5 of those tourists from Argentina. Today, federal agents were canvassing the neighborhood in Paterson, New Jersey, where Saipov lived. One of the neighbors took this photo in front of Saipov's building, showing a Home Depot rental truck in the background. The photo was taken October 22nd, the day prosecutors say Saipov did a dry run of his attack with a Home Depot truck.
The same truck, same model.
Saipov came to the U.S. from Uzbekistan in 2010 under what's called the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program. And then, once here, Saipov helped some 23 other Uzbeks to come to the U.S., including 2 men suspected of terror ties.
One of the things investigators will look at after this incident is whether there is any type of network or cell that's operating in this country from Uzbekistan.
In fact, at least 9 Uzbek immigrants have been convicted or are awaiting trial on terror charges in the U.S. Tonight, 6 of the victims of this week's attack remain hospitalized. But others are getting back to their lives.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Including a 17-year-old boy who was one of the students inside the school bus ran by Saipov's truck. School officials say he returned to school today, saying he was working on 100% attendance for the year, and he knew a lot of people wanted to help him.
Good to see him go back to school today. Brian Ross with us now. Back to the investigation. Authorities believe that he was radicalized online within the last year, but you've learned of other things that happened in his life while here in America.
That's right, David. Authorities believe there may have been a triggering event about a year ago after Saipov had a series of traffic tickets, lost his job as a truck driver, and then ran into serious money problems, David.
Brian Ross, thank you. And we should note that Diane Sawyer has a 1-hour special on ISIS in America. What are authorities following in this country? And how does ISIS recruit? That is tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC. Meantime, our team overseas tonight in Niger, uncovering new details about the deadly attack on those 4 American Special Ops soldiers ambushed and killed. What was their original mission? ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell tonight.
Tonight, ABC News has learned the target of that deadly mission that killed 4 U.S. soldiers. Sources tell us his name is Dondou Chefou, a key ISIS operative, one of the most dangerous terrorists here in Niger. This picture, obtained by ABC News, is the only known image of the man codenamed Naylor Road. Local officials are now convinced he was one of the ringleaders of the ambush. And now a major revelation. Sources telling ABC News it wasn't a reconnaissance mission, as the Pentagon still insists. Here in Niger, we met a senior officer who was on that raid who asked we don't use his name. He says it wasn't an intelligence mission. We were sent there to get Dondou. During the operation, sources tell us anxious Nigerian officers asked for reinforcements and more weapons. But they say American officers turned them down.
So they didn't want to get reinforcements?
He says he offered to get help, but was told it would be a waste of time because they'd lose their target. U.S. intelligence sources tell ABC News the American soldiers also voiced the same concerns when they were told support troops were no longer coming. Hours later, the mission going tragically wrong.
And Ian Pennell on the ground in Niger. And Ian, 2 questions for you tonight. You're now reporting that sources are telling you that this was never a reconnaissance mission, that they were targeting that key ISIS operative all along. What's the Pentagon saying about that?
Yeah, that's right, David. Tonight, the Pentagon still sticking to its guns, insisting that this was only a reconnaissance mission.
And Ian, you've also learned tonight from some of your sources that several vehicles from the mission may have fallen into enemy hands, including some sensitive equipment.
Yeah, that's right. Nigerian officials claiming that the terrorists were able to capture 2 American vehicles and, crucially, a 3rd vehicle, which U.S. intelligence sources say contained secret CIA-supplied surveillance equipment. David?
Ian Pannell reporting from Niger. Back here at home tonight to the emotional medical battle. Emory Hospital in Atlanta blocking a father from donating a kidney to his 2-year-old son. Family says the father is a match, that the toddler desperately needs it, and there is word coming in tonight of a possible breakthrough. Here's Steve Osensami.
This is a child's life that we're talking about.
Outside this children's hospital in Atlanta, the protests are growing tonight, demanding that officials at Emory Healthcare reverse their decision.
It's only temporary.
And give this 2-year-old a kidney transplant from his father. Anthony Burgess Jr. was born premature and without a working kidney. He needs this transplant to survive. Anthony Sr. is a perfect match, but an imperfect father, spending the last few years in and out of jail on theft and shoplifting charges. He was arrested